Everybody, welcome to a Three Geeks Conversation. We're here at Horror Hound with the lovely Sandy King. How are you today?
I'm just fine. I'm excited for today. I hear the crowd sold out again.
I hear this is your first Horror Hound.
Yes, it is.
I've been looking at all your amazing work that you've been a part of. What got you started doing all of this?
It was just a natural step. A door opened and I walked through it.
Found your grounding. I love
Yes.
that.
And I've always loved horror.
That's the best part. You get to do what you love.
Yeah, from when I was 10 years old and read my first Frankenstein novel, and then Dracula, and then The Island of Dr. Moreau, and, it went from there.
Just kept going. Those are so many amazing books. And then I read that you get to work with your husband
Yes.
on a few different projects.
And
How is that?
Well, that makes life easier. It's much nicer when you don't have to split up the family and coordinate travel and everything. It's great to work with your best friend. It's great to work where you trust each other.
How long have you guys been married?
42 years.
Oh, I love that. That is goals.
That's amazing. So I'm a big fan of like romantic stuff. How did you guys meet?
On the movie Starman.
Oh, very nice. Then we were curious. We're going through IMDb, and I do want to get to the comic book in a second. But what does the script supervisor do?
The script supervisor's like a link between pre-production, production, the editorial staff. So you get a great overview of the whole film being made. And so there's the continuity aspect on set of matching and bookkeeping of where all the pieces of film and sound and all of that are, and your logs every day, and the paperwork you turn into the editor. And then there's just the fact of being in the director's head and knowing what he intended before everything started to go chaotic on the set.
That's awesome. So tell us about Storm King Productions. How did you guys decide to get into comic books?
It was a matter of, we know that our audience crosses over between gaming, comics, movies, television, all of it. And we had a project in development at a major studio, and I got the distinct feeling that they really just wanted to say they had a John Carpenter series, and that they really weren't going to go forward with it, that everybody was just kind of bullshitting. And so we had a big meeting, and they were going, well, can't it be set in a sleepy little town? I mean, and I said, I know what you mean. You want to go shoot in North Carolina, non-union. No, it's set in Los Angeles because it's the devil coming through in Los Angeles as a practical joke on God, the city of angels. And it's set there because the Santa Ana winds and the fires look like hell. And no, it can't be set in a sleepy little town. The location is a character, which it often is in movies. And they're going, oh, well, it's not like it's a graphic novel or anything that you're matching to. And I said, well, actually it is. And I got kicked under the table by Thomas Ian Griffith, who was a co-creator on the project. And he's giant, he's like 6'5". And I just said, ow, and yes, it is. And we got out of the meeting, and the agents and Thomas and Bruce said, what the hell was that about? And I said, they're not going to make this series. And we already work up art for when we're selling a TV or a film project. It is a graphic novel. And that's how we made Asylum, our first comic book. And I got home and John said, so how'd it go? And I said, great, we're making a comic book. And he said, what do we know about comics? And I said, absolutely nothing. So I spent 2 years researching the art and the business of comics. And then we launched Asylum.
That's awesome. That's kind of like a good way to also get a proof of concept out there, because then the studios see that it's selling and so forth, and maybe eventually you can turn that into a series.
Yeah, but I only like to make comics for them to be the best comics. I don't do it with an eye towards a franchise. I don't think all comics make good movies. I don't think all movies make good comics. I want to make the best comic someone can hold to their chest and go, this is so cool. And I bring in the best writers from novels, screenplays, and comics. I bring in the best artists that I can find, and I don't know if you've looked through any of these when you've been here, but I've got Cat Staggs, I've got all these other great artists, and I love the medium. And I came originally from animation, so I did actually not come in totally unarmed for understanding how to make comics. And we had friends in comics who were really helpful, gave a lot of great advice, and found out we really like making comics. Plus, we won awards. And if you give me an award, I grow fangs.
I love that.
So what's the next book that's coming out?
The very next one, God, Sean knows our release dates better than I do. But we've got one called Chaplain that's awesome. And the next one we're kind of hyping is John's first full graphic novel, which is Cathedral. There should be a poster right there. And it's pretty great because it's also coming out at the same time as album to go with it.
That's awesome.
And that should be pretty fun because you can play the album while you read the comic.
Oh, that is amazing.
Who did the music?
John.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He just does it all.
He does. He's really happy doing music because he does it with our son, well, my stepson, and our godson. And he loves it. We love doing the comics and the music and all that stuff because there's nobody else telling us what to do. Mm-hmm. And it's great freedom from the TV shows and the films where there's committees trying to tell us what to do. They don't succeed very much, but it's just a lot of noise. And we really don't have any noise while we're doing these things.
That's crazy that you would think somebody like John Carpenter wouldn't need to go through so many hoops to get something made, but
we don't because we just don't do it.
That's what I'm saying. You're doing it yourself now, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it's fun. We always have fun. Mm-hmm. We always have great collaborators in whatever we do. I bring the same mindset that we do our movies with to comics, which is unusual for a lot of the comic creators because they're not used to not having to go through a bunch of hoops. And if you can't have fun in life, wow, why do it?
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I will have the link to the books in the description down below. Also, make sure you check out Cathedral, which is coming out in August. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.